An hour before the episode airs, the screener drops, and the spoiler notice specifically states not to discuss the song choice or the deaths of any characters. So you know it will be a milestone episode. The title of the episode is Execution. No way. It was obvious we were going directly into the flames, even without a Gilead-approved prayer book. Even after all this time, the personal nature of it was still something I was unprepared for. Wow, that was a hard one. Plus, it was so. How they caught. Thrilling. The show opens to Taylor Swift's Look What You Made Me Do, a song whose devastating perfection makes the attempt to keep it hidden nearly ridiculous. There is no longer any space for symbolism, as the handmaids disperse in the night, pursued like prey. Nothing but conflict. What stood out most, though, was the love amidst all the mayhem. Serena fleeing, the echoes of screaming wives, Gilead on fire. June is here. Hello, Moira. Hello, Janine. Ava, a suspected CIA operative. They make a decision while grimy and resolute on the truck's bed. Staying is our plan. We will complete this. They speak it with the camaraderie of sisters, of women who have experienced together the unfathomable anguish that words cannot convey. A final, I love you, is exchanged before June is forcibly removed. To some extent, that is the true revolution. Is not the explosives. Avoid the blades. However, what truly amazes me is that these women have managed to find love amongst themselves while enduring 6 seasons of brutality, assault, silence, Aunt Lydia speak, and abandonment. They battled more than just Gilead. What Gilead sought to strip them of was connection, and they recalled this. In Aunt Lydia's mind, she was always serving God, that she might shield her girls from harm by guiding them through hardship. If she were only harsh, submissive, and firm enough. However, she experiences a moment of reckoning when she is led to the platform alongside June, who is still oblivious to what is happening. Lydia surveys the sea of scarlet, the nooses, and the ritualized outburst of righteous wrath. And fissures begin to appear. She verbalizes her prayers, not to the men, not even to herself precisely, but in memory of her precious girls and all they've gone through as captives of evil, godless men. At last, she spoke up. At last, the woman who had subdued Scripture with her twisting tongue said her mind. June, too, the mother who has seen countless bodies laid out on the wall, who once had the courage to love a daughter who was taken from her, who has experienced both sorrow and rage, she offers them a final prayer. It transforms into a primal, full-throated cry for help. You won't be defeated by those weebs. Gunshots erupt. The ropes snap. Well, at least they aren't the ones going down this time. How did June survive? A certain poetic quality permeated June and Gabriel's discourse in the prison cell. It ultimately reframed the why. She is associated with so many instances of moral confrontation. God was wielded by Gilead, anglicized into a doctrine, invoked to justify all actions, torture, forced labor, rape. Yet June refused to acknowledge their deity. Her God is a loving God, just as Serena's is, despite her imperfections. The one June encourages Gabriel to choose is love. Be the man she thinks you're capable of being. It's just a sentence. And yet, there has never been a commander from Gilead who appeared smaller than Gabriel in that moment. Because deep down, they all knew June was right. Passion was always absent. Everything revolved around power. A lot has happened to Serena. An antagonist. Someone who fell prey. A tale to be warned about. One who managed to stay alive. She remains silent in execution. Nevertheless, here, she spots Gabriel. Her eyes pick up on the same old cliches. She remains steadfast as she observes him turning kindness into a constraint. She seems useless, sorrowful, lost. That is, until June, the woman she once despised before she saved her, confronts her face to face and says, "What sort of man would you like to raise your son?" Declining the flying plan, Serena abandons the commanders. She refrains from grabbing authority for once, and instead tries to be decent. She remembers that her previous wife had done more for her with less than her new husband ever had. Nick's death, June and Joseph are on their way to the hangar. Joseph feels fear, not June. But June is not the one who must board that plane and never come back. The expression on his face, the gesture toward his chest. It's a devastating blow to an upright man who, albeit acting in good faith, made some poor choices. June loses at the moment Nick shows up, getting aboard the plane. She loved two men, a couple of guys who loved her, but not enough. And they are both unable to remain. Someone better than me will have to see it through, were Joseph's last words to Nick. They sounded like a subtle confession, a handoff of responsibility. Confession, optimism, and giving up. Nick inquires, "Is she okay?" A smirking Joseph replies, "You can't keep a bitter woman down." As it was, Joseph was prepared. Nick wasn't, but he accepted his lot in life nonetheless. Life was meaningless without June. Afterwards, June's eyes mirrored the explosion of the plane, like 4th of July fireworks. She watched it go off, and now the aftermath is the same. The struggle for liberty rages on. This was more than simply a fight. This was the turning point. When A Handmaid's Tale finally became a story about strength, not suffering, as it had always promised. A story relating to change, rather than trauma. The handmaids weren't merely let to live. They stood up, side by side, throbbing with passion, wrath, and holy retribution. And if you've ever experienced being ruled, silenced, discarded, or changed by another set of rules, you felt it too. Only one episode remains. And I still don't know how we'll bid farewell to these beloved characters. But I'm prepared. Sure, let's leave. Where do you stand?